Folks, welcome. It is, I think, Sunday. It's Saturday night right now. This is So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and we have got a supersized Southern Charm episodes for you because we have the one and only Leva Bonaparte from Southern Charm and Southern Hospitality here with us today. And then directly after that, we're going to go into a Southern Charm episode 2 recap of this season. If you are watching on YouTube, you will see that I have created my own tinfoil hat in homage to Mr. Craig Conover. I think it looks actually really damn good on me. I don't think I pull it off as well as Craig Conover does, but I think it's okay. I think this might be my new look. How are you guys doing? Are you good? How has the weekend been so far for you? I hope it's been great. We had so many great episodes this week. Salt Lake City, Beverly Hills. We did the James Kennedy episode, and we'll be talking more about James Kennedy and Allie Luber on our Monday pop culture roundup because Allie has made a statement on Instagram, and we'll talk more about that on Monday. But today we're here to try to have a good time. If we talk about some points here and there, sure, but I'm here to be silly and to be goofy and to talk about these men of Charleston and literally why the women of Charleston want anything to do with the men of Charleston. Are you kidding me? We got Austin, we got Shep, we got Craig, we got Whitney. I mean, we got TJ, Tiny Tim. This TJ, you guys, I think he's reality show gold. He really is. And it bums me out so much that he quit the production. Obviously, the heat got a little too hot for him, and I'm sure some of his behaviors he was not proud of. But that's reality television, unfortunately. You know, it is interesting. There is that conversation that to be had and that we're having right now, I think, because when it goes into James Kennedy territory, you know, that's a very sobering look at what a lot of women and some men go through in terms of DV. And it's one of those things that you're like, you can't laugh at that. You can't make jokes of any sort, you know? But it is interesting how we look at human behavior through the lens of reality television. You know, it's like, yeah, we can joke about Shep going to, I don't know, was it Costa Rica to do ayahuasca and having these vision quests. And it seems like something that did good for Shep, but there's something innately funny in terms of reality television through that, you know? And I think that's the interesting quandary that reality television is at right now is that, you know, you want to document things, but you don't want to encourage insane behavior, even though sometimes you get rewarded for having insane behavior. And oh man, it's just something I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about this for a long time. I think really, especially after Sandoval, but there's a history of quote unquote bad behavior on reality television from the beginning of reality television. And it's one of those things that I think as an audience, we are so attracted to mess. We are so attracted to mess. And I will say, just from a viewer standpoint, or when you're extremely or chronically online, and I consider myself to be kind of, yeah, sure. There is, you know, you notice when these really wild things happen, and I would say in our personal lives as well, there seems to be a glee, you know, in which we will then come down on the person. And I'm really not talking about James Kennedy here, but it is interesting. You have to be a very specific type of person to be able to be on these shows. You almost have to be oblivious at times, because I don't know how having this many people talk about what they're seeing on the screen, and these are real people, like to have jokers like me talk about what their lives are like, that's got to be a really weird thing that I am sure it has not been helpful at times. You know, sometimes you are on top of the mountain and most everybody loves you. You know, I would say Ariana this past season of Vanderpump Rules, I would say the majority of people loved her. I mean, she still had plenty of detractors, but so many, you know, we build people up. And we want to have heroes. We want to have people that we look up to. Like even in Southern Charm, I love Miss Patricia so much. I'm like, this lady has stories. I think she has a code that she lives by. You know, like she she seems to be amused very much at these boys and their bad behavior, but I would never cross Miss Patricia because I feel like she could end you in a second. She could literally end you in a second. And I think Leva, which we didn't even get to really see on this episode at all, she was referred to, but I am so pleased to report that I just watched the season 3 premiere of Southern Hospitality, which premieres on January 2nd, I believe, on Bravo. And I watched this, and it's a really great season premiere. I'm not allowed to say the specific plot points, but it is a really good season premiere. And I think I'm going to have probably a couple of the Southern Hospitality cast on. And my question for the guys is, watching bad behavior on Bravo or hearing about it in terms of like Sandoval or even James Kennedy, how cognizant are they now of their own behavior? Because you want to be your normal self and you want to be messy, because I think that makes good television. And I think when you're younger, you are potentially more messy. You're messy in a sloppier way. We're all messy, I think, sometimes in the majority of our lives. But when you're younger, it's just way messier. And you really get reminded of that in the season premiere of Southern Hospitality. And, Joe Bradley, what an interesting character. And we were hanging out with him a little bit at that Kathy Hilton holiday party. And he just cracks me up so much. And I think I can't predict, but I think he's going to get into a lot more trouble this season, like he did last season. And I think he's a perfect reality show character. TJ on Southern Charm is a little more off the deep end, but you know what I'm saying? And then Leva on Southern Hospitality, she is the matriarch. She is the head, the head of all these crazy kids, the Lisa Vanderpump, as you would say. And we're going to cut to our conversation with Leva right now, and then we'll come back and we'll start the recap. But I was so thrilled to talk to Leva. I got to meet up with her in Charleston for just a brief minute, but she was so hospitable in welcoming me to all of her locations. And I really got to say, I kind of fell in love with Charleston. We were only there for 3 or 4 days, and we want to go back. It was so amazing. And it gave you such perspective for how these shows, the flavor of these shows. It gave me a whole different appreciation for Southern Charm and Southern Hospitality. Because on Southern Hospitality, this King Street really it's just a strip of bars. It is just, I was about to say, it's just a place where you're going to do bad things. You're going to have it's a strip of bars, really young people. It's like if the Sur Alley came to life but lasted for 10 square blocks. That feels like King Street. It's just a bunch of Sur Alley. You're just like, holy shit, how was there not a reality show about the bar scene in Charleston before Southern Hospitality and Southern Charm? Okay, so anyways, I hope you guys are having the best Sunday. We're going to cut to Leva right now, and then we are going to come back, and we are going to do our recap of Southern Charm Episode 2. I love you, Craig Conover. I love you. Here she is, the one and only Leva Bonaparte. Okay, you just heard the one and only Leva Bonaparte, Southern Charm star and Southern Hospitality leader. Season 3 premieres on January 2nd. But now, folks, let's get into Southern Charm. I thought they had a very strong first episode. It felt like slipping into a pair of your old jeans that actually fit better than you expected them to. You're like, oh, wow, I think I kind of look good in these jeans. I've really rarely had that feeling, by the way, but it's just something that just popped into my head. Let's have fun today with this. Let's get into this, and how we always get into these things. I like to play music. I like to jam out. I like to dance. I like to dance in this chair that I sit in 80 hours a week. And listen, normally the Vanderpump Rules theme song is my song of choice to jam out to. And I think it might have taken a little ding for me right now, and I might take me a little bit to go back to the Vanderpump Rules theme. But there is another theme out there that we talked about last week that I think is damn good. It is damn good. It doesn't get the credit that it deserves because Raise Your Glass, the Vanderpump Rules theme, is out there. So people always say, "Oh, that's the Bravo Bop." But you know what? We're in a new Bravo Bop season. There is a new song that is just turning people's heads, turning my heads, and it's called It's Easy by the one and only Mia Sable, and it is the Southern Charm theme song. So what I want you to do right now, folks, I know this feels silly. I say it every week. I know. But listen, nobody's watching. They always say, dance like nobody's watching. We're good. This is a baddie family. We're here to do a job, and we got to start it off right. We got to start it off on the right foot. There's enough sadness and anger in the world, so let's start with a little joy. And this song brings me joy, and I think it'll bring you joy too. So crank it up, folks. If you have kids, bring them in. Bring them in to dance, or just dance by yourself. This song I like because it starts slow. There's a little syncopated beat like bum, bum, bum. And then it just ramps up. You got some horns. It tells a story. So let's get into this together. Here we go. DJ Ryan B on the ones and twos. 5, 4, 3. Oh, I could just listen to that for a straight hour. What if we just do what? Hey guys, do you mind if I don't do the recap and we just listen to that song back to back for a solid hour and just see? Maybe, you know what? For New Year's Eve, maybe we just play that at 11 p.m., just go into the new year listening to the Southern Charm, Mia Sable, It's Easy remix. We got to make a remix of that at some point, because I really do think there's like a part in there that we could do a rap break and we could go through some iconic moments. It's like Madison when she came in and found out that Austin had 3 women in his bedroom trying to push down his dong and saying, "What, Madison? What are you doing here? I didn't know these women were here. You know I wouldn't lie to you, Madison. So I'm gonna need you to leave." Yeah, man, I'm a grown man. Who cares? Life has totally gone off the rails, so I just have to go in the direction that the water is taking me right now. As you notice, I am still wearing my Craig Conover tinfoil hat, which, by the way, Craig, I know you're not listening, but it's sewing down south. I got to visit it when I was in Charleston, and it really is it's a cool store. I bought a hat. I bought a panda hat because he thinks pandas aren't real. But I think, Craig, you need to make some version of a tinfoil hat, or like make a pillow with like a tinfoil hat on it. Because listen, as a dude, I'm not super into pillows. And I'm not even, I think it's amazing what Craig's built. There's no slam on that there. I just don't collect pillows. I collect action figures. I collect action figures and ironic t-shirts. But I'm telling you, I would buy a pillow in a second if it had a tinfoil hat on it. If I had a Craig Conover signature with a tinfoil hat, I'd buy 2 of them. I might even buy 3. I might even give them out as gifts. That's just a little thought. But this, the Craig Conover was on Watch What Happens Live after this week's episode of Southern Charm, and it was so funny, you guys. They did a game. I mentioned this the other day, that they did a game where, does Craig believe in, and it was like various conspiracy theories. And I've been talking about this on the show for the last couple of weeks here and there, but I made it onto like alien drone TikTok. I feel like I was one of the first people that was starting to get pushed these videos in my TikTok feed. And I was like, well, that's weird. There's all these unmanned drones, or they're calling them drones, all around New Jersey. They're popping up in other places as well. You can't get clear video of them. It's really blurry. And you're like, is it kids doing this? Is it a foreign government, foreign adversary? But nobody. And then the New Jersey state officials are like, we don't know what the fuck this is. And I'm like, and they say New Jersey is one of the most densely populated areas. So they're like, oh, is a foreign adversary mapping the road systems and the waterways, and they were around military bases. And then of course there's the theory that these are aliens. There's another theory that says that we are potentially at the apocalypse, and these are angels. These are prophecies spoken about in the Bible. I'm not joking, guys. And I don't know. It's really weird. And it's more weird that just nobody knows what these are. And I'm just like, well, can't you fly up another drone next to those drones and get clear pictures? But then there's this thing that's saying if you get too close to the drone, they have this electromagnetic pulse that will disable the other drone, or kind of make it so you can't take. There's so many weird rumors and theories. And, it's hard because TikTok, especially, I I hope it's not banned until after we figure out what these things are. But there's so much misinformation that goes around these days, not just in the Bravo universe, but the universe at large. And you're like, wow, it would kind of be exciting if we did find out that aliens finally are here. But are they really going to send out drones? Most likely, I think it's probably the government or some high level of government testing out things. But like, what are they testing out? Just really how to freak the fuck out of the public? I mean, and also during the holidays? And if it was a foreign adversary, that would actually be a declaration of war. Like, you're not able to just, like, you know, China or Iran, you're not able to just go send drones over here and just fly them around Jersey. It is so boggling. But I will say, Craig, I need to talk to you about this, man. Craig Conover, I feel like he knows. He's got strong opinions. I was watching that segment on Watch What Happens Live. He's got strong opinions about all conspiracy theories, and he seems very confident in his opinions, and I want to talk to him. Craig, I need to talk to you about these. I know you know the answer. I know you can help us. I need you to know what I need. I want to know if you think these are aliens or they're government or what's going on. I think only Craig Conover can help us with this. So this is a plea out there to Craig Conover and all of you people listening. If anybody knows Craig out there, please pass on the message. He doesn't even really need to come on this show, but if he could just let me know, and then I can let you guys know. Maybe he's already working in some sort of top secret government capacity and he's not able to speak about this. And unfortunately, this is happening right now, and they've already filmed this entire season of Southern Charm, because I would have really liked if this entire season of Southern Charm, Craig's storyline was trying to find out what these mysterious drones are. Now, if there are people out there listening that still don't know what these drones are or haven't heard about them, it's starting to make the actual news, not just TikTok feeds. So I would imagine, but if you don't know, just type in drones on your Google search and see what pops up. I have a feeling it will start to kind of clue you in. Guys, this is the most conspiratorial you will ever hear me. I'm the one that said Sandoval was completely real. I said all that, those rumors were bullshit. But like, this one stumped me. This one, I'm starting to get a little freaky, you know? And people are like, well, just let me know if I have to pay my bills this month or not. Yeah, I mean, like, let me know if I have to keep recapping these shows or if I should start, like, you know, reaching out to old friends and reminiscing before whatever happens. Great, by the way, solid way to start the show, Ryan. I'm not, fuck, I need to play Okay, let's get into this recap. Okay, this week's episode is called Off the Peep End, and very clever because it's Easter here in Charleston, and Peeps, very popular Easter candy, so off the peep end, because these crazy kids are going off the deep end. Now, the description that the cable company gives us says the fallout from the Carolina Cup quickly becomes a game. Miss Patricia hosts a soiree for Easter. A very simple summation of what we're about to see. Now, the Carolina Cup was in the first episode at the end where Madison had those big strawberry trees that nobody seemed to be eating. And I just thought, wealth really just is the true wealth is just strawberry trees. True wealth. And we had JT bringing everybody canes, trying to make up with Austin, even though he allegedly found out some information about Austin and his dating history in the party bus over from Leva, which if you heard Leva, we talked about that briefly in the interview I did with her. We start off every episode with scenes from the previous episode, and Madison is our narrator. It used to be Cameron, remember, but Madison now is shifted into the narrator spot. And she's like, previously on Southern Charm. And we met a new cast member, right? We met a new cast member that had previously had a sexting relationship with Craig Conover. We also found out on Watch What Happens Live from Madison a week ago that Craig is very well endowed. And I went on a rant last week saying, I don't know why God gives certain people so much and other people like me so little. I don't understand that. I feel it's very upsetting to hear. And Craig was asked about this on Watch What Happens Live. And he said, "Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good to hear good things." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, it's good to hear good things." I mean, I hate that I'm sitting there like thinking about Craig Conover's package, but I just feel like it should be able to. I don't know. What are we gonna do, anyways? Olivia Flowers, by the way, she is no longer in this cast. I guess she has like a YouTube show now, or like a YouTube interview show, and I want to check that out. I'm bummed that she is not on this season, and I'm curious in the future what will happen with Taylor. Right? I'm curious what's going to happen with Taylor, because obviously not with Shep anymore. She has a new boyfriend, Gaston, who we see briefly in a scene in this episode playing pickleball. Can we stop with the pickleball? I feel like big pickleball is like big pharma. Like it is. I feel like in the last 5 years, pickleball has taken over. Like, and you have people like Randall, Emmett, really championing pickleball. Freddie Mellencamp loves to play pickleball. It's a lot. It's a lot. I've never played pickleball in my life. I probably would. I don't know. I have a bad knee, and I'll get into pickleball at some point. But our new cast member, her name is Sally Carson, and her Bravo description is a bubbly party girl by night and a... Oh, wait, sorry, that's not... It's Molly O'Connell. I'm sorry. Sally is another lady that we have not met yet. Molly O'Connell is the one that previously sexted with Craig. And she is described in the show notes as a quirky Southern belle, friendly but unfiltered. Her longtime entanglements with the men of Southern charm lead her to wonder exactly how she fits in. And we found out a little bit about her story in the first episode. She was a model as well. There was like a thyroid condition, I think, and she gained like 30 to 40 pounds, which she is trying to take off. And it seems like she has a little bit of a crush on Whitney. So this episode, you know, is a little bit, there's little elements of trying to see if Whitney and her potentially have sparks. But anyways, they had a scene with Madison last episode where she was talking about the sexting with Craig to Madison, and she's like, hey, I'm not trying to steal him from Paige or anything. And Craig said that he told Paige because he was freaking out when she found out he was going to be on the cast, and Paige just laughed. Dude, I don't think Paige sweats this girl at all. I don't think, nothing to worry about, obviously. Anyways, Madison continues in the narration. As I got together with my friend Molly, Craig and Austin headed to Shep's farm. And we saw that Shep was out there at his family farm ready to greet these guys that he felt abandoned him in his time of need. And so he went and did an ayahuasca journey, and he's dating a new girl, and these men have not been there to support this man. And Madison's like, and they sat down for a serious heart-to-heart. And Shep telling the men, you just don't see relationships the way I do. And Craig's like, sometimes you need to take a step back from people. And Shep's like, I think it's just communication. And Craig's like, okay, instead of just ghosting. And Austin said, you're not wrong. And then we hear the music, times have changed, don't you know, don't you know? And then Madison's narration continues. Meanwhile, a turned-over ATV gave JT a new lease on life. And we see JT hobbling into one of his properties with the cane. And then in the RV or the party van, he says, I got a cane for Austin. And I'm going to go up to him and say, hey, we're all okay. We're all okay. And then the music starts back up. He's making it feel so easy. Bop-a-doo. And then we see everybody show up to the Carolina Cup. And Madison says, and just when it seemed we were off to the races, and we see the cane being given to Austin. And he says, this is your cane because you've turned over a new leaf. And then we see him give Miss Patricia, or try to give Miss Patricia a cane of, I brought this cane for you, Miss Patricia. And she's like, I don't need a cane. You can shove that cane so far up your ass, it'll come up your throat. And he's like, I know, Miss Patricia, it's just for looks. And Madison says, Pat decided to look JT's gift horse in the mouth, which put him right back to the starting gate. And JT's like, she turned my cane down. It was savage. And Miss Patricia's like, I felt like saying, take this cane and shove it. It's easy as the birds and the bees and the 1, 2, 3. Woo-hoo! And we have the Southern Charm logo pop up. It is a brand new day in Charleston. We are hovering in a drone, not an alien drone, over Charleston. We see boats. We see the Mount Pleasant oil well or whatever it is. And we're over at Craig's beautiful backyard with a nice pool. And you see a lot of Spritz Society's cans out. Take that, Kyle Cook and Loverboy. Craig's a Spritz Society drinker. One of his little umbrella things for the table fell over and it hit all of his flowers. Like, oh, my flowers. I'm sorry, babies. Sorry, babies. And then we bop over to Austin's house. And Austin, you guys, is putting self-tanner on a mitt and then just rubbing his face with self-tanner. It's eerily adjacent to Tom Sandoval shaving his forehead. I was told by Rebecca that you are not supposed to put this self-tanner on your face. It's for body use only. But I think this Austin knows what he's doing. He's never made any sort of mistake in his life. Then we go on over to Vanita's place, and she's making tea because she's a tea drinker. She loves tea. We see her dog. It's very cute. She has a very cute place. And then we bop on over to Miss Patricia and Whitney's place. And she's like, tell me what's going on. And he's like, I don't know. Not much, Mom. I don't know, not much. And he's like in an Adidas tracksuit, like he's a member of Run DMC. And he's got like black Wayfarers on. And he's like, I don't know, not much. And we see that he has a little snifter of alcohol. And Miss Patricia's like, well, I'm going to organize this Easter dinner. He's like, okay, sounds fun. and by the way, Whitney now has frosted tips, it looks like. Whitney has done like a little bit of a different coloring on his hair. And we see this little snifter of, and Miss Patricia clocks it. It's like, what's this? What kind of bourbon is this? And he goes, it's 15-year Pappy Van Winkle's. And she's like, so, $2,000 about? And he's like, well, it's my new vice, Mom. I sip. And you could just tell Miss Patricia, like, how dare you, my son, my blood, take my $2,000 bourbon just so you can sip it in your Adidas tracksuit with sun. You take those sunglasses inside the house in front of your mom, Miss Patricia. You take those sunglasses off when you're enjoying a $2,000 glass of bourbon during the day. And Miss Patricia's like, Okay, so then we jet out of there, and then where do we go next? We're at Shep's house, and we see that Shep is doing another semi-nude scene. Remember, I speculated last week that Shep is very proud of his body thus far because he says he's lost 15 pounds. He's, eaten healthier. He's not drinking, but he's drinking way less. And last week he did an ass shot in the shower. He showed man butt. And by the way, I do want to say how far we've come as a society because a lot of the times, we've just so focused on women's bodies. And I feel like, the women and the men that are attracted to men have not gotten great representation of male bodies on cable television. And Southern Charm is just breaking that glass butt ceiling because we are seeing Shep's butt this season. I will say there's a butt shot in the season premiere of Southern Hospitality from a gentleman, but here Shep is in the bathroom. You can just tell he's just like, yeah, hey, get me coming out of the shower again. So he's brushing his hair, checking it all out, putting on his little shorts for the day. He likes what he sees. He likes what he sees, folks. Little Craig is out there with him, and he sits down with his phone and crosses his legs, and he starts FaceTiming somebody. Who's he going to FaceTime? And all of a sudden, it's this beautiful girl pops up, and he's like, hello. She's like, how are you? He's like, I'm good. Do I look all cleaned? I've cleaned all my crevices. I just got out of the shower. I shaved. And she's like, good. I can't get a beat if this girl likes Shep or not already. Like, she's like, good. And he's like, ha, ha, ha. She's like, yeah, you do. You look fresh. And he's like, I like your hair. I like it like that. And it's just like curly, short hair. It's like, it's pretty. And she's like, yeah, I washed and floofed it. And he's like, did you cut it? And she's like, yeah. He goes, yeah, I like your hair just like that. Don't change anything. I like it. Hey, Shep likey. Me likey. And she's kind of like laughing. And he's just like smiling like a goof. You can tell this guy, Shep, really likes this girl. And we find out her name's Scheana. She's like, Scheana and I met on this dating site. It was called Ashley Madison. No. He said, Scheana and I met on this dating site. And I was like, enthralled with her, basically. And we see a photo of them, and she's very, very pretty. And he's like, and I just think she's so sexy. There's nobody else that looks anything like her. And I think the whole country of the Bahamas would agree, since she is Miss Bahamas. And we find out, we see a shot of her with the Miss Bahamas sash on. Shep is dating Miss Bahamas, and he's Mr. Charleston. And back in the call, he's like, I wish you were here. I wish you were here. And she's like, yeah, I do want to spend some more time up there. And he's like, oh, girl, it is so beautiful here right now. It's 70 degrees with a little wind and sunny, and it's just perfect. Now I kind of want Shep to be like a weather reporter, like, hey, it's Shep with the Doppler weather radar. We've got winds coming up from the east. It's going to blow a lot of girls' skirts up, and I'm not going to be complaining when that happens. We're going to have light showers from the west, and it might make your top a little wet where I might be able to see your boobies. Anyways, that's Shep reporting the news. The weather, I mean. Anyways, he's saying it's just perfect here right now. Okay, now we zoom out of there, and where do we go next? We go to our pickleball scene. And it's, we got Taylor and her boyfriend Gaston. Gaston just seems like one of those, like, kind of Cro-Magnon men. He just seems like he's, like, played college football at some point. And they're just, like, a cute young couple. And she lets us know a little bit about their story, about how they met. She said, we were friends, then we went on an accidental date. My friend ended up backing out very last minute, and so it was just me and Gaston. By the way, what are the over-under on that friend's a complete liar? And that was like the setup to begin with, of like, I'll act like it's a double date, then I won't go, and then like sparks will fly with you two. Anyway, she says she was a little nervous, but 4 hours later, she goes, ha 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 ha, he asked if he could kiss me. And I said yes. And she laughs again. I mean, so 4 hours later, they kiss on that first accidental date. So then we just see a couple seconds of them playing pickleball, and I'm like, oh, time to go to bed. Anyways, she wins, and he's like, super impressed, baby. And then the producer in the talking head says, how does he compare to your last relationship? And Taylor is like, we see a flashback to 2021 of that scene where they're playing like, what is it, like the egg game or something? I don't even know. Like, I remember this scene, but they were on a trip, and it, like, the egg fell, and he's like, it did not break. You fucking idiot. Shep's like, you fucking idiot. And she goes back to the talking head and she says, the relationship, it doesn't compare. It's night and day. So they seem like they get along really, really well. And obviously the age, like, they're pretty much the same age. Now, a producer asked Shep in a talking head, what do you think about Taylor's boyfriend? And he's like, he kind of looks like a villain from the Bourne Identity. And then we flash to Taylor's talking head where she says Gaston's sexually inclined. I'll say that. And wasn't there scenes back in the day where he said sometimes Shep couldn't even get it up, or am I just imagining that? Anyways, back to Shep's talking head. He's like, I can see him screwing on a silencer and then like breaking into a room. By the way, Shep, I'd be scared if I were you, if that's like how you envision him. Like, dude, watch your back then. Now back to Taylor. Taylor and her talking head says, my parents have asked me if me and Gaston have talked about marriage. And then back to Shep. He says, well, I know her mom and dad wish that she was still with me and her grandfather and grandmother and her whole family. So he's saying that Taylor's family would rather her be with him than with this Gaston, who seems to be making her very happy. Now, maybe her family hates pickleball and feels like she's going down a bad path with the constant pickleball playing. We could only imagine, but yet we do have further information about this because once this episode aired, or the preview for this episode aired, Taylor hit out back at Shep about this after he said this. And she responded to Shep's comment via Instagram story on Friday, December 6th. And Taylor said, "I'm going to pop off here for a second publicly. Let me shout from the mountaintops that both my parents, my grandparents, and yes, even my recently late grandfather all couldn't be happier that I've moved on and am in a much better, happier, and healthier relationship. So this comment by Shep sends me, what planet do you live on, bro?" And then she added, "You cheated on me 4 times that I know of, and you think my family wishes I was still with you? Delusional. And thank God I'm everything your girlfriend isn't." So she went off. She concluded with saying, "Leave me and my relationship alone. I will not stand for this." And that really says it all. Taylor ended any sort of speculation on that. Now, I'm curious what Shep's thoughts are about that comment. And when you have an ex starting to call you bro on Instagram comments, it's not a great scene. Like, just stop it, bro. You're like, ugh, tough. Anyways, back Shep's talking to his Miss Bahama's new girlfriend. And he's like, "I can jump on a plane and head to Nassau at any old time, so..." And she's like, "Yeah, whenever you want." He's like, "I mean, God, Scheana, I would love to come and hang out there for an extended period of time, if you'll let me. But I know you're busy, so I don't, want to like monopolize your time." Now, when he even starts to say this, she doesn't have any reaction. She's just staring. It's not like, "Holy shit, I would love that too." And she's like, "Well, it's fine. I just know we would just have to plan it ahead of time so I can get things like in order." And so I'm like, oh my God, that's not great, right? When you're like super duper like feeling somebody at the beginning, you're like, "Yeah, I want to spend all the time in the world with you." And she's like, "Well, I got to check my day planner." In a talking head, he says, "Scheana's very smart and driven and independent, flying here and there and modeling, and she goes into med school. She's a lot of things that Taylor wasn't." And now back, "Taylor was a real stupid dummy. And, I had that vision of her on ayahuasca where she was a bird just banging her head into a window. Just a real dumb shit." And he's like, even though she's younger, which, by the way, we find out that Scheana is 26 years old, Shep is 44 years old. But he says, as far as just having your own thing going and being like a big baller a little bit. So he's like, she's a big baller. Now, Taylor and her talking head says, Gaston and I, we're a similar age. She's 29, he's 31. And she says it just feels like more of a partnership. Gaston really makes her feel that good. And it's different for her to feel that way, which is so great for Taylor. I just wonder if that's going to be able to be interesting in another season past this one, or if they're going to go the Olivia route of like, once that Austin relationship was dead and done, we don't continue with Olivia's story past that last season, right? So I guess we'll see, right? So then we head on over to JT, Tiny Tib, hobbling on a cane. He's with his mom and sister. And this guy is the Donald Trump of Charleston. He's got properties everywhere. Maybe JT will run for president one day. And the mom, remember, is just a master decorator, decorated the place we saw last season. But he's like, "I need your ladies' help. I need you, I need my Navy SEALs, if you will, of design and creativity, wallpaper, artwork. You did all the art for all the other houses, Mom. This place is 9 bedrooms. That one's 10 over there plus 9. That's 19 bedrooms." So this is JT's inn, his rental property. He's like, "This is the largest Airbnb property on the peninsula, in downtown Charleston." And the mom's like, "Congratulations." And a talking head, JT goes, I don't identify as rich, but I feel like I am doing well. I had like 8 Airbnbs, probably going to rent them out to Meredith Marks at some point. But this particular property, it had zoning that made it a hotel. So it's very valuable." And we hear a cha-ching. And then he's like, Yeah, it's very valuable. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm really well off. Now you always got to be a little suspicious of people that are like, yeah, I'm doing really well. I got into a conversation at a holiday party last night with this guy. It's like a day trader investor on top of an actual job in like Bitcoin and stuff. And I was like, when you get halfway through a conversation, you're like, oh, this guy's like really wealthy, and you're like, I can't keep up in this conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, I have a checking account at Wells Fargo, and sometimes from time to time I'll put money in that, and like that. He's so great. I was just like, oh, I don't belong here. Anyways, he's like, I defer to the experts. My mom and my sister about what we do with this. And they brought this painting with them that they're going to unveil to show JT. So he's taking him inside the place, and the mom's just passionate about painting. And he's like, I commissioned this painting of the marsh that my mom did, the Charleston Marsh. And it's going to be the cherry on top for this property, this house that ultimately is going to become this hotel. And so they untie this piece of art and they unveil it. And JT's like sitting on the ground, like looking at it. He's like, wow. And they're like, do you really like it? Would you tell us if you didn't? And he's like, no, I wouldn't tell you, but I do like it. No. And you guys, like, I'm not an artist in any sort of way, but thank you for thinking that I might have been. No, I'm not. And it feels like, I don't know. Like, I went to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam this past year, and I was like, wow, this is art. I was like, this is pretty good. And this, I was like, yeah, JT's mom did that. I was like, this is, I can tell there's like some green patches. Where it really lost me, though, is like there's like a little dock where I felt like the dock is a little sloppy, but like, this is from his mom. So it's like, of course he's going to fucking love it. I would love it if my mom did something like this. But he's like, yeah, no, I love it. It's Charleston. It's the low country. It's the marsh. It's what I love the most. God, now I need to stay at this inn. I want to stay in this painting's room just so I can get a close-up look at this bad boy. And then JT's like, ladies, I need some advice, actually. I'm not sure, but I think I disrespected Miss Patricia. I want to get your thoughts on this. I brought everybody a cane. That's what I'm saying. JT has like buying everybody a cane money. So he must really be wealthy, because like he did. He stepped into that like gas station. He bought a bunch of canes. Like, who has just that kind of cane money laying around? But he's like, I handed Miss Patricia a cane. And the mom and the sister are both like, oh, geez, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? And we flash back to that cane. And the sister's like, yeah, JT, that was insensitive. And the mom's like, you should never hand a lady a cane. You should never. And JT's like, well, even if you have one yourself and you got almost killed in an ATV accident? And the mom's like, yeah, I think that's even if, yeah. And they're like, that was inconsiderate, JT. I would love to know Miss Patricia's thoughts when she sees this, because, Miss Patricia's like, yeah, ladies, it was disrespectful, yeah. But they're like, yeah, it's a real dumb, and he's like, yeah, I guess it was a dumb move. I guess it was. And they're like, well, you could write apology letter. And the sister's like, yeah, letters are so great. Granddad taught us. And she's like, should I send her a handwritten note? And they're like, yeah, I would. And now I'm like, oh my God, JT is going to put quill to paper and send Miss Patricia a letter. Now, if this letter exists, we don't see it in this week's episode, but I'm sure next, if this letter exists, Miss Patricia, can I have this for my reality show museum, this JT apology letter, unless you're keeping it for an eventual museum that you want to open? But anyways, JT's like, okay, we're learning, and I'll apologize to her if I'm allowed to see her again. I will. She's a lovely lady, and I didn't mean to disrespect her at all, and I don't want to be kicked out of this group, In a talking head, he's like, I handed out 15 canes? It wasn't like I targeted Miss Patricia, but I learned my lesson. And they're like, you should have handed her a martini. Nothing would have been a better idea than anything, the mom says. This JT, this lovable scamp that eventually quits, so obviously he doesn't become lovable towards the end of this season, but God, reality TV show. So we pick up with a scene with Molly in her bathroom. She's talking to her mom on a call, and she says she was born in Barneswell, Barnes, sorry, Barneswell, North Carolina? Barnesville, South Carolina, sorry, which is a couple hours away from here. She says she was adopted by two attorneys and she moved here when she was 3 days old. And she says everyone's biased, but it's like, no, sorry, my parents win. They're the best. I definitely hit the lottery with parents, which is great. I mean, I love when kids love their parents. It's like, it's so nice when people actually love their parents or they have like a great family. So it'll be interesting to see if we meet the parents at all this season. But it's great. Then we found out that she's a musician. Molly is a bit of a musician. And we find out that she plays the miniature tuba. It's called the euphonium. And we see her playing this miniature tuba. And she's like, brr, brr, brr. I got to tell you, I mean, I don't know. I think I know music a little bit. This doesn't sound like, I don't know. I don't know my tubas, but it doesn't sound like it's incredible tuba playing. I mean, it was just a little section. I don't know. Anyways, she says when she was 10, she went down the line of instruments when they brought them out to at school to try. And she said she couldn't make a noise until she got to the trombone, but she was too short. And she says now she's gigantic. She's 5'10". She was too short then, but the next one down was the euphonium. And we see a picture of young Molly with a euphonium. And she said she started playing that. She got really good at it. And she's a euphonium player. Now, listen, we all had that experience, right, in school. Do they still do that in school where they try to push you into the band or like the instruments? Now, mine, I played in Olathe, Kansas. Get this, I played the oboe. Yeah. Panty dropper. You're looking at an oboe player right here. I played the oboe, and I remember it was like, I don't know the kind. Like, I want to think it was like, oh, that'll be good on the resume when you get older. I'm trying to remember specifically. I just remember it was like an instrument that not a lot of people even wanted to play, and I think that was appealing. Now, I when I was a kid, I took piano lessons. I had like 8 years of piano lessons, and you guys, I barely know even how to do that little theme song from the movie Big anymore. Like, God, I wish, and my mom told me this, because my thing, I wanted to really play guitar, but like, I wanted to play guitar. My grandpa was like this amazing drummer, and I thought, maybe some kind of music inclination was in me. I love listening to music, but I just think I sucked at all of it. I mean, the piano I was okay at, but I wish, could you imagine if you sat down in front of, like, if you see a piano even in a hotel lobby and you sit down and start like banging away on a piano, how much power you must feel. Like, I love the piano. So I love Billy Joel, Ben Folds. I love piano players. And I wish, my mom said, you're going to regret it one day. If you quit lessons, you're going to regret it. And Mom, I am here right now saying I fully regret it. I regret not continuing the oboe. All you kids out there, we get a big 12 and under demographic here at So Bad It's Good. Take lessons. I know it's boring. I know it's frustrating, but my God, I wish it was. I always, there's this joke of like Billy Joel. When you invite Billy Joel to a holiday party and he sees a piano in the room, how much pressure Billy Joel must feel, because everybody's probably just looking at Billy Joel going, he's gonna hop on the piano maybe? Like, there's gotta be so much pressure. He's so associated with the piano, but my God, I wish I was associated with the piano. In fact, I wonder if the other Southern Charm cast, they play instruments. That would be a great storyline if everybody in Southern Charm starts a Southern Charm band together. So she's still talking to her mom, getting ready. And I don't know, they're just being mom and daughter. Nothing too crazy here. She's talking about being a model in the past, and she says now that she gained some weight, she hasn't been modeling as much lately. And we see this string of all of her modeling shots, which look really glamorous and beautiful. She's talking about these dresses to her mom that she's going to try on and see if either of them work. For Miss Patricia's Easter party. And she says she still wants to model, but my parents are here, they're getting older, and the thought of living far away from them is upsetting, she says. So she is home for the foreseeable future. I mean, listen, she's a reality star now. I wonder if she's going to hook up with anybody this season on the cast. Like it would just be kind of Whitney, right? Or JT. And I think JT hooks up with Vanita at some point. Anyways, we zoom past that. We have a drone shot of Charleston, all the beautiful trees, the park, and we're at Madison's house. And her husband and her son, Hudson, they're just cooking breakfast as a family. They're teaching this kid how to make pancakes. That's the other thing, folks. Teach your kids how to cook. You make them learn how to cook. I don't really cook that well. I don't play an instrument. I fucking suck. And this Madison's husband just seems like a good, like another really hot dude, but he seems like a good hot dude. And he seems like he's so good with Madison's son. And they just have a really nice family dynamic. And this kid's like stirring the pancake batter, with all his might. And I don't know. I just think they have this really great environment. And all of a sudden, Brett, her husband, sneezes. And she's like, "How you feeling, Brett?" And he's like, "Pretty good. How's your swallowing?" And I'm like, "Where's this going?" And he's like, I have to go see a specialist." And she's like, "It's still bad?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's like 2 stages. I don't know. So I got to go see an ENT for it." And I'm like, 2 stages? What does that mean? That sounds like stages. I just now always think about cancer because of my mom. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Wait, 2 stages, ENT. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to probably have to do some type of therapy or something and see what they say." And in a talking head, Madison says, unfortunately, Brett was diagnosed with thyroid cancer towards the end of last year, around their 1-year wedding anniversary, folks. And she says, I thought, like, how? And she starts tearing up in the talking head. She says, "I'm finally happy. And this happens. And it's just scary." So in the scene, she says, "Brett, it's just still that sharp feeling." And he's like, "Yeah, just like a marble. It's like stuck there." And he goes, "It's all right. I'm getting used to it." This is a real man. This real man. Like, if I get like, a scab, I'm like, "It's over. It's all over. Tell people I kind of loved him. I don't know." And this guy's just like, "It's fine. It's fine." Like this is like the Iron John, the strong man. And she's like, "We'll get you fixed. We'll get you fixed." In a talking head, she says, "I'm thankful that Brett was able to go in and they removed a 3-centimeter nodule." And she goes up to him and she's like, "I'll kiss it and make it better." Like, people this hot shouldn't have things like this happen to them. But she says, so the cancer is gone, but now he's having complications. So I feel like we can't catch a fucking break, she says. And he says, "It's coming along. It's coming along." And they're talking like kind of not in code, but not really fully talking about the cancer in front of Hudson, the son, as he's making these pancakes. Now, I looked up an article from our friends over at People magazine to learn a little bit more about this, because I didn't know this, and I was so bummed. I met Madison at BravoCon last year at Jeff Lewis's pre-party, and she was so nice. And she says, sorry, I'm catching up on this. One sec, you guys. So one of the updates we have is that she had posted an Instagram story on December 13th and said, "Your messages and kindness mean so much to us and have not gone unnoticed." So this was after this episode aired, and she included a photo of them on a romantic getaway to the Maldives. And she wrote, "It's been a challenging year for our family, but we're taking it one day at a time and doing our best to navigate through it. Brett is getting stronger every day, and we're so grateful for all the love and support. We love y'all, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts." And let's just pray and put out good vibes for Brett. And life, like we always say, we know this, if you listen to this show, or if you even just live your own life, how life is so challenging as you get older. Even when you settle into something good, there are just so many challenges that present themselves in life. And it's all about, I guess, attitude, which I don't have a good attitude, but it seems like this Brett has a great attitude. So, and it seems like Madison's very, very strong for him. Anyway, she says, "I told Hudson that he was sick, but I didn't go into detail with him about what cancer can do to someone. And, I don't know when the right time to have these conversations are." And she just says, "I try not to let Hudson see me emotional because I have to be strong for my family." And if there's one thing we know about Madison, is that she is a very strong individual. So we wish her the most happiness. Anyways, we cut to her telling Brett about this Easter party at Miss Patricia's. We flash back to her and Miss Patricia talking about the colors of the Easter bunny and the Easter party. And Miss Patricia's like, purple, green. And Madison's like, oh, Eastery. And Madison's like, yeah, I'm happy to dress up and see how it's done, how you throw one of these Miss Patricia shindigs, you know? And so she also says it's unfortunate because they were kind of starting to plan maybe having another child, but that is on pause for now until Brett gets better. So they have this solemn piano music playing in the background, and it just, this is what I'm saying. This is what gives these reality shows kind of that leverage to go really crazy and insane and funny if you have these foundational scenes that show that these are real people. Okay, so we pick up after commercial and we're at this indoor golf experience place. Golf, another fucking thing that I don't know how to do. Don't know how to play pickleball. Don't know how to play golf. Don't know how to play any instruments. Don't know how to cook. This fucking episode is like just throwing me into despair. But this is one of those inside golf places where you can drink and they have like a video screen up. And then I guess you just hit the ball and it hits the screen and it tells you how far you're going to go. And JT walks in and he says, I'm meeting some friends. And we got a scene with Shep and Craig, and these are all men that have their own fucking golf clubs. I don't have golf clubs. I don't even have a putter. Anyways, Craig comes in. He's like, what's up? What's up? It's me, Craig. And he's like, this place is sweet. The place is sweet. Shep just gets an ice water. He's not even drinking. And Craig, I think, drinks a non-alcoholic beer. And they're talking about golf courses that they've never played on or played on. JT's like, I've never played Valhalla. That's in Kentucky. But you can pick the course you want to play in. Anyways, they're asking JT if he's going to play because, he got injured in that ATV incident. And JT's like, I'll play one arm or I'll try. And Shep's like, have you even tried to swing a golf club since the accident? And JT's like, no, but I'm not going to quit against you guys. And Craig's like, JT's a good golfer. And Shep's like, I know he's a good golfer. He's taking money off me. And in a talking head, Craig's like, JT and I have been friends for a while. And we flash back to a year ago when JT had these like really crazy old clubs. And Austin's like, what is up with these Legend of Bagger Vance clubs? Now, folks, if you don't remember, Legend of Bagger Vance was a movie in like the early aughts with Will Smith and Matt Damon. So it was directed, if I'm not mistaken, by Robert Redford. Little movie history. So they were making fun of his clubs, but I guess this JT is, he's tiny but mighty. He knows how to swing a golf club. So Craig continues in the talking head, but last year JT just yelled at Austin all the time, but now that he's like handled this olive cane branch to Austin, we can be civil and be like, not try to tear each other's lives apart. When I'm like, Craig, you've been in reality television long enough. You're paid to tear each other's lives apart. Craig, you know that this is what you're paid. You're paid to be goofy. You're paid. You know what? You're paid to tear each other's lives apart, and then you're paid to get back together. That's why Real Housewives of New Jersey had a really tough season because nobody got back together. But you're paid to get back together. So Craig kind of even knows that. I'm like, okay, at least he gave the olive branch to Austin, so now I can kind of hang with him. Because I don't think JT and Craig are like best buddies when the show is not filming at all. I will say, Craig was delicate about how he talked about JT on Watch What Happens Live, which almost gives me a little, not hope, but gives me kind of a thought of, are they trying to get him to finish it out and potentially come to the reunion? So they're not going to like bash him fully in the press, right? And anyways, Shep's making fun of what JT's wearing, even though it just seems like a normal outfit. And he's like, you trying to get in my head right now, Shep? And Shep's like, yeah. Anyways, JT takes a swing and he whiffs it and immediately falls into the wall. And he's like, nah, I'm done. You guys play. I can't do this. You guys play. I can't do this. In a talking head, he says, with 2 legs, I beat him 18 straight holes, Shep. Anyways, Craig gets up there to take a shot. I don't know fucking golf. He hit I don't know. It looked fine. And JT's like, what's the feedback in the men's locker room on, did my olive branch at least move the needle a little with Austin? A little bit? Is it going to require more? Do I got to give him a reach around or something? We flash back to last week's scene where he went up to Austin and says, I was a little harsh, Austin, on you during the exorcism. This is your cane because you turned over a new leaf. And Craig's like, I thought, what you did was really nice, JT. And Shep's like, you just repaired a relationship with him, so that's good. And JT's like, well, but when I gave Miss Patricia a cane, I didn't realize it at the time, but she took offense to it. And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. But one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was Madison invites me to her event. I'm thinking it's going to be kind of a friendly-like event, right? But Madison doesn't speak to me at the event she invites me to. Isn't that weird, you guys? And they're like, yeah. And Craig's like, I don't know. And then JT goes, and then I remembered something. I did. I remembered that Madison FaceTimed me when she was in the Dominican Republic. And they're just like, yeah. And I was like, why is she FaceTiming me? Why is she FaceTiming old JD? And Craig's like, go ahead. Well, do you remember in Jamaica, guys, where she put on my blue stripes outfit? And Craig's like, no. And we flash back to last year where it looks like Madison had thrown on some of JT's goofy looking clothes and came out and everybody was like laughing. She was doing a JT imitation. And JT goes, I think it made Brett get a little weird. And Craig smirks a little like, where's this head, He's like, yeah, it made him a little weird when all that went around. And Shep's like, this is a theory that you've developed, JT? In a talking head, Shep goes, oh my God, this is so crazy. And Craig tells JT, I don't think Brett's worried about you. And JT's like, well, then why FaceTime you with your wife to ask me if we would hook up in Jamaica? Why do that then? And Craig's like, did he actually say the words, did you hook up? And JT's like, oh, no. He was like, you left the beach and went there? And I'm like, this is weird, right? And Craig goes, I'm a sucker for a good conspiracy theory, which, by the way, now we've got to put on my conspiracy theory tinfoil hat again. For those listening, I actually am wearing a tinfoil hat right now, so I put that on to talk about this. Craig's like, I'm a sucker for a conspiracy theory. And a talking head, he goes, I don't even like to use the word conspiracy theory. I think it's derogatory to all those who know the real truth out there. But man, JT is he tops me, Craig says. So Craig's even like, I love a good yarn, but this is even insane for old Craig. Like, I can't even fucking believe he might think that there's a possibility that Madison's husband is threatened. And JT goes, man, Craig, I just think it's weird that Brett's potentially weird about me in the stripes. And Craig's like, I don't think Brett thinks that you guys hooked up. I don't. In a talking head, JT's like, I received a FaceTime call. Hey, JT, I'm here with Brett. Well, he wants to know what happened in Jamaica. And I said, Taylor was upset, so we went to your hotel room and we ordered room service, and then we all went to bed. And she said, thanks, JT. Have a good rest of your day. So JT really thinks that JT really thinks that, this Brett is threatened of old JT. JT, this is the kind of confidence I want in life, right? He tells the men, and then, you guys, the other strange thing, why is she matching polka dots with Austin? Why is she matching polka dots with Austin? And Shep goes, what? In a talking head, Shep goes, the way that the gears turn in JT's head, I'm not sure I want to know about. In the scene, Craig's like, oh, JT. Like, they both have the same reaction to JT. Like, what is this dude smoking? Which is just so funny. Because I will say that each one of these dudes have said batshit things on this show. And Austin as well, Whitney as well. All of the dudes on this show, except maybe for Michael the butler, rest in peace. There was a great shout out to Michael at the end of this episode. But like, every one of them has said something batshit crazy. And I love that JT is too crazy for them. They're like, you sound like an idiot. You sound like an idiot. We've always sounded pretty dang smart, but this is where it goes too far. So they just like are writing them up. In a talking head, JT explains, at the Carolina Cup, I'm looking at Austin, I'm looking at Madison, I see matching polka dots. Now we see that Madison has a polka dot dress, we see that Austin has polka dot pants. Like, listen, this isn't a conspiracy, it's just that Austin has bad fashion sense. Polka dot pants? What? And JT's like, my mind's going, and I don't know what's going on. In the scene, he tells Craig, Madison, who never misses a beat, Craig, matches her ex-boyfriend to the color in the polka dot. And Craig's like, okay, you sound absolutely nuts right now. You do. The four-wheeler must have landed on your head and not your leg. In a talking head, Craig goes, I get it. I've connected to the pyramids, to aliens, to panda bears. But this is way crazier than anything I've ever seen. Craig, I need you to tell me, do you think JT's involved in these alien drones that I was talking about earlier at all? Craig, is that why JT actually quit the show? Is he involved in the alien drones? Craig, are we on to something here? Craig, I'll throw it another step back. Is JT a panda? Does JT dress up in a panda outfit? Is he one of the fake pandas that you talk about? Anyways, Craig's like, way crazier than anything I've ever said. JT goes, well, guys, but on another note, the Austin thing, do you know how hard it was for me to bring in Olive Branch? Because he's still doing the same shit. Leva said that he had a relationship with another girl for a few months. We flash back to Leva saying last summer he's been dating her in regards to Austin's girlfriend, and Rod saying, yeah. And Leva goes, I've met a whole bunch of girls who say they dated Austin. And then in this scene, now Craig is activated. Craig's like, that's not true. And Shep's like, that's not true either. Men protecting men. And Craig's like, no. And JT's like, I'm just saying what Leva's gossiping about. And Craig is now out. He goes, I don't care about Leva because Austin and Audrey are great. And JT's like, guys, I love you guys, but you don't hold Austin accountable. And Craig's like, JT, do you want to be friends with us? Do you want to be in the cool guys circle? The cool men of Charleston circle? Because that means you got to stop picking fights with Austin. And Jason's like, I'm not. And you got to stop making up lies about his girlfriend. He's like, I'm not. I want to be your friend. I do. And Craig's like, well, then listen to when I tell you. And Shep's like, just relax, JT. And Craig's like, whatever Leva is telling you isn't true. And JT's like, well, then we need to address that with Leva and say stop. And Craig's like, no, I don't. Well, she ran her mouth, Craig, on the whole bus, Leva. And Craig's like, so are you going to take my word or are you going to take Leva's word? No, I'm just saying about what Rodrigo and her talked about. And they just seem very frustrated. This is the breaking the brotherhood of the traveling pants. Craig in a talking head goes, I have never seen a 180 done so quickly. I thought we were past this stuff. In the scene, Craig goes, JT, why are you not hearing me? I am, Craig, when I tell you that it is absolutely none of your business what Austin does with his girlfriend. It's just none. It's none of your business. And JT's like, well, I'm just saying what Leva said to me on the bus. And Shep goes, and we're fucking telling you, JT. And Craig's like, I just told you, JT, if you bring it up again, you won't see me again. Craig now threatening to leave the scene, to leave JT's life. And JT goes, and Craig, I'm telling you, I'm sticking with the truth. And I'm here. I'm sticking with the truth. This ain't no Illuminati bullshit, Craig. I'm sticking with the truth here, brother. And Craig goes, if you continue to say stuff like this. And Shep's like, what's wrong with you? Stop it, JT. Stop what, Shep? Stop what? And he goes, everything, JT. And then Craig goes, I gotta go sew some pillows. I gotta get out of here. And JT's like, I'm sorry, I'm telling you what Leva said on the bus. And Craig's like, I'm sorry, I can't hang out with people that are against my friend Austin. Sticking up for his buddy Austin. And then Craig goes, Shep, I love you, buddy. I love you, buddy. This isn't healthy for me. I got to take care of this man right here. Craig Conover. This isn't healthy for me. Now, I will say we've had now great progress in the relationship between Craig and Shep, because in the first episode, remember, that was a huge deal of Shep thinking that these men had betrayed him. So now we're back on the straight and narrow with Shep and Craig, but now this JT, this conspiracy theory is literally out conspiracy theorying the main conspiracy theorist, Craig Conover. So Craig's like, this isn't healthy for me. And I will say, though, this is the argument I was making for Craig last week. is that when you do get older, I think, and if you want to compare it to James Kennedy, this is somebody that we were talked about at length last season of Vanderpump Rules, saying like, this dude now has the world, by the balls. Like he's getting these DJ gigs. It seemed like he realized the opportunities he was getting and he had cleaned himself up, or that's what it had seemed like. And I think in a lot of ways, Craig has done this. And a lot of people do this as they get older. It's the right thing to do to start cleaning up. And I think Craig, and I think this is going to be a storyline more this season about, really taking his life seriously and not wanting to piss away opportunities and realizing that certain behaviors he doesn't want to be associated with anymore because he's got his eyes on the prize. He's got his eyes on life after reality TV with these businesses. And so in one part of me is like, no, Craig, there's no crying in baseball. You don't leave reality TV scenes. You should immediately get fined $5,000. But there is a part of me like, of course, man, you got to protect yourself. There is this thing of appreciating where you're at and realizing you're in a good place and not wanting to screw that up. And that's also why he had distanced himself from Shep. It's not a good look at a certain point. There's people out there now that are having to try to defend James Kennedy because they've been, it's hard because you put your friends through shit when you do the bad shit as well. It sucks. So he walks on and Shep's like, Craig, hold on. And Craig's like, nah. And JT's like, what's going on? Why is he so upset? And we hear Craig go, this is bananas. BANANAS. This shit is bananas. And then Shep goes, JT, words matter. Words matter. And JT's like, words matter, so do actions, Shep. I can't talk to my friends about what's going on and what I'm hearing then. And Shep's like, you can. That's not how you approached it, JT. You're going right back into the weeds, man. I think that's a golf term, by the way. Just stop, JT. Just stop. And we see Craig pull out in his Jeep. Also, Craig, listen, I'm fucking, see, this is what I do I pick a guy each season, I fall in love with him. I'm fully in love with Craig Conover. I literally just watched him pull out of this golf place in a Jeep and I go, sensible car. This guy not going out there in like some Ferrari or something, like a baller. It's a nice Jeep. It's a nice, reliable Jeep car. Jeep's a great car, but I'm like, and I'm just like, God bless you, Craig Conover. So we end that scene, which to me was my favorite scene of the entire episode. You need a character like JT. You need him because he's not afraid to say batshit crazy things. Like the Leva thing is one thing, but then when you start doing the polka dots and Madison's husband might be jealous of you, we're on like, it's rarefied air. We're in a different area with JT. And in fact, Craig should have texted him later and go, hey man, thanks. I'm glad I don't have to be the crazy one anymore. I appreciate, thank you for your service, JT. We pick back up after break and Austin's in the car talking to his mom saying, I went to Charleston for some Trop Hop stuff. That's his beer that he's been working on. And it's kind of perfect, he says, that I can pop up there since, Audrey, who's his girlfriend, lives there. And his mom's like, I think that's great. How long have you guys been hanging out? And he said, I guess we're going on like 4 or so months now. And the mom's like, wow. And she's like, I can tell that you're really enjoying it. And Austin's like, I do. It's strange, Mom. It's strange. And the mom's like, well, you took your time, Austin. That's what we don't, we don't really think about the heartbreak of these families having to watch their sons and daughters participate in reality TV and see all of this shit behind the scenes where you're like, what? You ever think, like, has Austin's parents seen the Madison video? Madison! And the mom's like, because you waited. You took your time. And Austin's like, well, hey, when I leave Charlotte, Mom, I miss her. And they're like, she's great. That's great. And says, how have you been otherwise? And he goes, oh, good. I'm headed up to Craig's house right now. And she's like, I'm glad that you're going out there. She must love Craig like we all do. In a talking head, he says, nowadays it's like if I want to see Craig, I have to show up to his house. He would rather tend to his garden than hang out with his friends these days. God, why are we good? I'm good. Craig should be a homebody tending to his garden. That's evolution. Encourage gardening. It's another thing I don't do. But he says at the same time, I could take pointers from Craig. He's doing it well. And then on the other hand, I'm like, he's got his head so far up his own ass. It's like he almost likes the way that it smells. Wow, what a shot at Craig from Austin, saying Craig has his head so far up his ass because he likes the way it smells. You got to imagine Craig's ass smells like obsession for men or something. It's got to smell nice because this page, the Sorbo, probably makes him do, like clean his butt up because she, anywho. Anyways, we see Craig at his house. He's taking out the freezer. He's like, gotta get some sausages and hot dogs. And I will say this kind of skeeved me out, and it made me think maybe his butt doesn't smell too good because he pulled out like a Ziploc bag just with like a freezer full of meat. But it wasn't just like a specific. He had like the hot dogs and the sausages all lumped together in one big Ziploc bag. And I got a little skeeved. That's like a Ryan Bailey move right there. He's grilling, he grills it, but he just plops his big Ziploc of like sausages and hot dogs, and he's like sneezing. He's like, he's like, yeah, here we go. He goes, this place is a fucking mess. And he's like cleaning up cans outside. We see Austin pulling up in his Jeep. They all have Jeeps out there. And so this is going to be a bro day of eating Craig's meats. Austin goes, hey, Craig, you have 100 feet of cable on the front porch? And I guess this got delivered. And he's like, oh, yeah, I got a vacuum for my putting green outside. Hell yeah, Craig's got a putting green outside. He needs that fucking extension cord. So Craig's like, I figured maybe we'd go hang in the hot tub, help me get rid of my head cold. This guy, it feels seasonal allergies, Maybe he's got sinus issues like I do. And Craig's like, I don't feel bad. It's just an annoyance. He's blowing his nose. He goes, I'm going to go start grilling hot dogs. Yeah, man, blow your nose and start grilling hot dogs. And Austin's like, okay, I'm going to throw on a suit. Yeah, get Nakies, Austin. Let's get comfortable. So we see Craig just dump all of this frozen meat onto the grill. And he's like, frozen fucking Christ. And he's taking his sneeze hands and like unpeeling the hot dogs from each other. And Austin's like, damn, we're going to have some fun out there. No, you're literally going to start the Ebola virus out there. You see the way Craig's handling the meats? So Austin's getting in the hot tub, the koozie, and Craig's like, dude, so me and Shep went to go hang with JT, and he was like, do you think I apologized to Austin enough? And I said, I think it was the right thing to do. And he's like, well, I just think it reflects poorly on me. And Austin's like, oh my God. And Craig's like, so we're like, what? And then he's like, well, how about Austin's new girlfriend? He's like treating her like shit too. And Austin's like, what? Zoinks? And, seriously? And Austin's like, for him to say, I treat her horribly, we are so great and happy that it blows my mind. What a fucking asshole, Austin says. We zoom out of there. We drone shot over to JT's new apartment. We hear JT whistling. It's a total blank, empty canvas, no furniture in there. And he's whistling. He's like, okay, the TV's going to go on that wall in the bedroom. The bed's going to be here. Nice view to wake up. Uh-oh. The upstairs floor can see into the bedroom. It can see old JT whacking off. Damn it. Okay. And then Vanita gets there, and Vanita, her voice, she completely lost her voice, but she's like, looks like cute as a button. Is that derogatory to say about women that they look cute as a button? I never know these days. Anyways, she's like, sorry, I don't have a voice. Somebody stole it. I sound like Kyle Richards right now. He's like, what? What are you talking about? You don't have to be sorry. Did you report somebody stole your voice to the police? They're like, she's so giggly around him. You could tell she likes him, right? Anyway, she likes the place. And he's like, it's simple. It's minimalist, right? It's minimalist, right? And so they're laughing. They go out to check out the balcony view. It looks really, really nice. And he's like, I can see 8 steeples from here. This apartment has a view of 8 steeples. And she's like, Jesus Christ. Exactly. Yeah. He says in a talking head, my original apartment, it wasn't bad per se. And we see the old JT's old apartment. He goes, but it did look down over a U-Haul station, And the new apartment, the light glistens off the steeples of the holy city, And we have dramatic organ music and we see these steeples. And he goes, it opens my soul. And then he does the sign of a cross, and he goes, what did I do to deserve this? Now, remember, JT, he says he's a baller, man. He's got Kane money. He's like, what did I do to deserve the bountiful riches that I've been blessed with? And Benita's like, I have to be honest, I'm a little devastated. She's like, why? Cause now I can't be like, hey, get breakfast because you can't walk 5 minutes. Now you got to get in the car and drive and park to see me, you know? And, in the old days, you could just get up and walk and then we could go grab some breakfast. And he's like, I promise we're going to still grab breakfast. I'll make that drive for you, Vanita. And she's like giggling and laughing. They're all giggling and laughing. It reminds me of when like Morgan Wade and Kyle Richards did that tattoo scene last year. It's like, stop it, Morgan. Why are you laughing, Kyle? So Vanita goes, what's going on in that little brain of yours? And he's like, well, I had a conversation with Craig and Shep, and it was kind of a heavy conversation. Craig and Shep both got in my face, got in old JT's face. When I mentioned Austin's gray area girlfriend thing that Leva mentioned on the bus, they were both coming in so hot, foaming at the mouth. Like, I was like, okay, I put my hands up. And by the way, when he does put his hands up, it does look like he's got like some really fucked up thing on his arm. And I don't know if that's from the ATV accident. Vanita in a tugging head says, God, I feel like I'm going to be devil's advocate. Like JT just got back at the friend group and let's play it cool for as long as you can. Until you start bringing up things that don't really matter. So tells him, it sounds like you were trying to start something new and like trying to be friends. This is what I would do with people I want to be friends with. You ask them for help. And he goes, yeah, but I guess that was an error. I guess it was on further reflection. We're back over to Craig and Craig's talking to Austin. He's like, I was like, dude, I'm not doing this shit with you, JT. Austin's one of my best friends. Why would I sit here and listen to you talk shit about him? And he's like, I'm not talking shit. And I was like, that's exactly what you're doing. He goes, I'm just repeating what Leva said. It's the truth. It's the truth. Austin cheats on her around town. We didn't see that part of the scene, and there might have been another part we didn't see of the scene, but Craig is relaying the story to Austin. And by the way, also Craig's licking his fingers now in this scene, but he's grilling at the same. I'm just worried about the whole situation. And Austin's like, that is so fucking sad. He's a miserable little rat. He just is. And Craig's like, he was very erratic. He looked fucking crazy. And Shep's like, what else was he going in on? We cut back to JT talking to Vanita. He goes, remember when Madison threw on my pinstripe outfit? You remember that? And Vanita's like, yeah, it was funny. Okay, well, it was posted on social media and her husband saw it. And so I thought nothing of it. It was kind of like funny. But I get a FaceTime call. Questions were happening like, hey, what happened in Jamaica with the two of you, right? Back to Austin and Craig. Craig goes, Austin, he said that Brett called him and thinks that him and Madison fucked in Jamaica. And Austin's just shaking his head. And Craig's like, I was like, no one thinks that you banged Madison. And he's like, well, Brett does. And I was like, did he accuse you of banging Madison? He goes, no, but he said it in so many ways. And Austin's like, Madison is going to freak. Can you imagine JT having to be like, Madison? And Craig's like, and yeah. And then he's like, clock this, Austin. Madison wore polka dots at the horse race. Guess who else wore polka dots? Austin. And Austin's like, what? Zoinks? And we flash back to that scene of Austin coming in. And, she's like, pretty woman. And Austin's like, polka dot. Madison, look, we're both wearing polka dot. And Madison's like, yeah, I know, it was on the invite. Craig in the scene goes, like at this point, you're just like, dude, what are you talking about? And Austin goes, wait. Okay. In a talking head, Austin goes, JT, he couldn't hold up that I'm like a changed man facade for so long. I just thought that he was going to fake it for like a few more weeks at least before he went off the fucking deep end. Now Craig, for some reason, is chopping pineapple. We got a hot dog. Why are you chopping pineapple? Craig's like, I thought I was in the Twilight Zone, dude. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Why are you chopping pineapple outside? Austin goes, dude, I don't even have time for that shit. Talking head, Austin goes, but coordinating polka dot outfits. I hate to say it. I got to give him some creativity points. And he laughs. Because even Austin realizes how crazy it sounds. We come back from commercial, and we're at Whitney at Miss Patricia's house. And Whitney is talking to the staff. He's like, so I think tonight the Chateauneuf, then I think people are going to want Bellinis. And he's like, we've got some champagne up here, telling the waitstaff. And we see the Easter decorated table. It looks like this volcano of Easter just exploded like a really fancy I don't know, this Easter bunny doll thing. We see all these like miniature bunnies, and it's like Easter exploded all over this table. And Miss Patricia looking beautiful in pink with like diamonds and like frilly sleeves and just all jewelried up. And she looks at the table and it's like, it's Madison, Austin, Craig. Huh. That's fine. That's a good guest list. My little antique bunnies I've put out. I think it looks cute. The butler's like, do you want me to go check on your mother? See what your mother would like? And Whitney's like, yeah, I'll go in. And Randy, the butler's like, thank you, sir. Thank you. Whitney tells his mom, don't you look nice, mother? And she's like, thank you, darling. He goes, floral? What color is that? Well, it's Easter egg pink. Here's the bunny rabbits with the black jelly beans. And he goes, the turd pellets. Whitney can't help but being a little boy. The turd pellets. Boy, I'm telling you, you're drinking up all her fancy bourbon. You're wearing sunglasses in the house. And now you're calling these her beautiful little things and you're just calling them turd pellets? Anyways, Miss Patricia laughs and she's like, it's been a tradition since we started. You know Miss Patricia has a tradition for everything. She says, I do a big extravaganza for Easter. And I order candy from like 10 different places. Steve's Candy and Maison du Chocolat, and all over the place. And jelly beans from the Teeter, our grocery store. So Whitney now is also going over the guests. He's like, Austin, Craig, Ryan. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm invited? Me? And he's like, Whitney's like, me, I sit here, Molly. Okay. And he goes, how coincidental. Because in an earlier scene, Madison and Miss Patricia were talking about maybe seeing if Molly would potentially, if Molly and Whitney, there could actually be sparks. In a talking head, Miss Patricia says, I mean, Whitney never tells me anything. So let's get that straight right off the bat. He's his own man, but other people have told me that they hooked up like 5 or 6 years ago. And we flash back to a scene where it had Molly as Whitney's date in a previous scene in a previous season. Miss Patricia says, I know he likes her and they remain friends. So in that scene with Madison that I was just talking about, they're like, oh, I'll invite her and I'll put her next to Whitney. Because she says, I want to have some grandchildren before I kick the bucket. Anyway, she tells Whitney, let's have a cocktail. And Whitney's like, what would you like? Just a glass of champagne. And then Whitney tells Randy, the butler, he's like, Madame would like a glass of champagne. And Randy's like, coming right up, sir. Coming right up. Miss Patricia goes, as per your instructions, I decluttered. Thank you, Randy, for the champagne. And Whitney's like, I mean, Mom, you've been fighting me on it, but I'm going to have to upgrade our audio system here. And we see this old like CD. I remember this CD player. I remember this. It does need an upgrading. And he's like, look at that, Mom. It's something out of the Dark Ages. And Miss Patricia's like, well, I'm out of the Dark Ages, and I like it. And Whitney's like, oh, my God, you will not say, oh, my God, to your mother, Miss Patricia. Anyways, we see Craig walking up to Miss Patricia's, opening the wrought iron gate. He comes in, and he's like, hi, Miss Pat. And Whitney's like, you sound a bit congested. Are you sick? And he's like, well, the pollen has given me a slight head cold. And Miss Patricia's like, here, come sit down. Come take a load off right next to me. Whitney's like, how you been, man? Good. And Whitney's like, we never see you anymore, man. And they're laughing. And Craig's like, oh, I'd rather just cook dinner and just hang at home these days. They really seem to be hitting this storyline of Craig being a homebody now. So now we've heard it multiple times this episode. So obviously this is going to be a storyline the remainder of the season. And Miss Patricia's like, well, sometimes when you work hard, you need to do that, I like that Miss Patricia. Remember those scenes in Miss Patricia when she didn't like, Craig wasn't really like doing what she wanted to do in terms of like the sewing. You could just tell Miss Patricia takes a little pride that Craig has turned over this kind of good leaf. Anyways, this gentleman, our new cast member, Ryan, shows up. Good looking Southern gentleman, or looks, very fitted suit. And he brought Miss Patricia some French chocolates. And she's like, oh, I hate chocolates. Oh, especially French chocolates. Oh, just rich people laughter. And Miss Patricia in a talking head says, I have been friendly with Ryan's partner, Eddie, since 2008. And we flash back to Dr. Eddie, who I believe was Cameron's friend, right? And we have a flashback of Miss Patricia going, I missed you, Eddie. I missed you. How you been? And she says, and then when he married Ryan, and we see a picture of Ryan and Dr. Eddie, they are husbands. And she says, we became really, really close. They're lovely in every way and fun. Ryan gets served his cocktail. So they're all just having Southern cocktails here. And Miss Patricia's like, it tastes like medicine. And Ryan's like, it's basically liquor, and more liquor. Hey-o. And then Shep comes in, and Shep's wearing like crazy gas station glasses, like, hey-o, live at the party's here. What up? And so everybody's doing, what's up? What's up? What's up, guys? What's up? You know, what's up? What's up? What's up? They're all wearing sports jackets. And Shep's like, very Eastery of you, Whitney. You look like you're about to go on a safari, because he kind of has like a leopard button-up shirt and then a black sports cape over it. Now Molly walks up. You know, nobody is like letting her in, so finally she walks in. And you know, Craig, they're like to Shep, they're like, "What do you want to drink? Do you want like a OJ or a Diet Coke?" And he's like, "No, I'd like a glass of champagne." You know, he's like, "No, I'm not. I didn't quit drinking. I'm just drinking less." So Molly just walks in on her lonesome and comes in. It's like, hello. And Whitney's like, you look all purty. And gives her a little kiss on the cheek. They're all kissing. And Miss Patricia loves Molly's dress. She looks beautiful. They both say they look beautiful. And Whitney goes, why don't you go and sit here, Molly? You can sit there. So she sits her next to Miss Patricia. And then Molly gets a glass of champagne. So Molly says, Patricia makes me nervous. I'm just like, is she going to think that I'm weird or like not classy enough? And she goes, yeah, probably. That's why you got to bring that sousaphone or like the big bassoon, whatever the fuck you play. You should bring that for Miss Patricia to play. But she says, but then I remember who Miss Patricia's son is. And we flash back to Whitney in his bedroom from an earlier season. Remember when he was like wailing on the electric guitar with his tongue out like, and Miss Patricia going, my head is vibrating. This Whitney, this ramscallion. Molly in a talking head says, I'm like, hey, she still loves Whitney, so, you know. So then Madison comes in. She looks beautiful in orange, very bright and bubbly. And more hugging. And then Austin comes in with sunglasses and a sports jacket. So the gang is finally all here. He brought a bottle of wine, and Austin's like, oh, Whitney's going to say something snarky about it. I have no doubt. And Whitney's like, no, I love all wine. I love all wine. And then Ryan goes, yeah, you'd enjoy that more than a cane as a gift. So we've brought up JT's cane now in front of Miss Patricia. And Miss Patricia's like, oh, a cane? Why would you give an 80-year-old woman a cane? And Molly's like, I think he just thought it'd be funny if we all had canes. And Madison's like, but he's not funny. So, you know, and Miss Patricia's like, ha, 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 ha. Shep says, I don't know if Whitney's going to talk to JT. Oh, no, Craig says, I don't know if Whitney's going to talk to JT after he finds out what he said about his mom. So I'm like, whoa, Craig, what did he say about Miss Patricia? And then Craig goes, he called you a bitch. And everybody's like, zoinks, zoinks, zoinks. And even Miss Patricia's like, zoinks. And Whitney's like, wait, hold up. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Whitney looks genuinely shocked. And Craig goes, I said, oh my God, Whitney's going to kill him. And Whitney says, he can go fuck himself. He can go fuck himself. Yeah. So there's like dramatic music playing as we go out to commercial break. And then we come back and Whitney's like, the fact that he can impugn is such a great word. The fact that he can impugn my mother, all bets are off. He can go fuck himself. That's it. He's not having any $2,000 glass of bourbon with me. And Madison's like, he is crazy. And Molly's like, when did he say all this? And Craig's like, well, when me and Shep went to indoor golf with him. And Madison's like, whoa, okay. And Shep goes, honestly, I don't remember hearing that, Craig. I don't remember. In a talking head, Shep goes, I did not hear JT call Patricia a bitch, for the record. And then in a talking head, the producer asked Craig, JT called Miss Patricia a bitch at golf? Sorry, I just choked. At golf? And Craig goes, yep. And then we do that rewind thing that they do, rewind back to the golf thing. And we see JT at the golf place going, Miss Patricia just was like, I'm not taking this cane. And then all of a sudden, a Chiron pops up with a TV test pattern and says, audio not found. So what production is saying, if that was said, they don't have that footage, they don't have that audio, they don't have any of it. And remember, they filmed from when Craig got there to when Craig left. So they would have had some sort of audio, right? So production is saying, they don't have this. It didn't happen on their watch. So Shep in a talking head goes, so maybe it's Craig bending the truth? And he laughs and he goes, he's pretty good at that. And then we do a flashback, a producer troll of all the times Craig has potentially lied on this show. Shep talking to Craig going, how long did you know that you didn't graduate from law school, Craig? Do you remember that storyline? And Craig goes, since the beginning? And Shep's like, really? And Craig's like, those words never came out of my mouth. And then another scene where Craig goes, I just graduated law school. And Whitney's like, did you really graduate? And Craig's like, yeah. And then another scene at a reunion, Shep going, I sat there with Craig and like basically co-signed the bar application. We stuffed it in an envelope and I was like, where the hell did that letter go to? And then another scene with this happening where Craig's like, my fingerprints done, my jobs. Then I had to get 3 character affidavits. This is for the bar thing that he mailed away. We see him put it in there and Craig going, all right, my future's in here. And then Andy at another reunion going, so Craig, did you take the bar? And Craig goes, I'm not allowed to take the bar. I haven't received my official diploma. And so we cut back to this. And Craig saying in this scene going, that was only the tip of the iceberg. He basically was just talking a whole bunch of shit about Madison and Brett and Austin. And I was like, and Madison goes, back up. Yeah, he basically thinks that Brett thinks that you and JT are having an affair and slept together in Jamaica. And Madison's like, what? Even Madison's like, are you fucking kidding me? And Craig was like, yeah, he was dead serious. And Shep's like, and we were like, nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks that. And Molly's like, that's a joke. Madison in the talking head goes, you can talk about me all day long, but you start talking about my marriage and my husband, you're done. You're done. You're done. She goes in the scene, let me get this correct. He says he thinks that my husband thinks that I had an affair with him? Craig's like, yeah, he was like, Brett thinks that we had sex in Jamaica because she was wearing my clothes. And I was like, I was making fun. I don't know, Shep, you have to help me too. And Shep goes, I was like, I'm a pretty intuitive guy. And I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Madison's like, well, he will be the bitch when I'm done with him. How about that? Craig's like, I said Madison's going to kill him. And Miss Patricia's like, let's tag team him. Let's do it, Miss Patricia. He'll be sorry, Miss Patricia says. And Madison's like, and get the canes. And Whitney's like, how unhinged is this character? And Austin goes, I fucking told you so. I fucking told all you so. And it's talking head, Austin goes, do I feel this beautiful sense of vindication? You are damn right I do. At the flashback of the reunion last year, him telling JT, nobody knows what a piece of shit you are, JT. Like, don't hide behind the fact that you just called yourself a gentleman 38 times and you think that means that you're a gentleman. Like, we know who you are. In a talking head, Austin goes, the amount of times that I can't wait to say I told you so is uncountable. Anyways, Whitney's like, hey guys, we're going to prepare to dinner. Dinner is ready, Miss Patricia says. So they're all going to sit down around this beautiful Easter tablescape, right? And I was just almost praying. I mean, I don't want Craig to break anything, but it's always funny when he does it at Miss Patricia's house. But the sad thing is, like, everything that he breaks is usually like $10,000 or more because everything is like, they're like art pieces. So all the girls are like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. Oh my God. So they all sit down. They have their little name cards with rhinoceroses on them. And, it's very sweet. And Whitney is sitting next to Molly. Randy, the servant, is putting their plates. You got your typical Easter fare. You got sweet potatoes, green beans, ham, macaroni, and cheese. You got the crispy macaroni and cheese. Sorry. And they are getting served. And everybody's like, oh, this looks amazing. And then Whitney's like, well, will someone lead us off on a toast? And Shep's like, I will. I'll do it. Now, Shep considers himself a master orator. So I'm like, let's see what he's got, right? Shep's like, I'd like to talk about why we're here. and that is Easter. And Jesus was a guy. Man, he's killing it so far. I looked this up. Jesus was a guy, allegedly. And Shep continues, who was trying to do nice things. Yeah, he did that water and wine thing. He was cool with lepers. He did a lot of nice things, right? Shep continues, he was crucified. It's bullshit. And let's that be a lesson to some of us. I mean, I love that Shep is coming out against crucifixion because he's like, this bullshit. You know, I'm just going to say it right here. But he also says, let that be a lesson to some of us. Let's not, Austin, be wary. And then Shep goes, you're punished for your kindness. But actually, that's a bad message for Easter. They're all laughing. And then Shep pulls out, he goes, but Pontius Pilate... Sorry, he goes, I don't even know who that was, but that's a name I know. He was a betrayer, which I think was Judas. And when he's like, yeah, he was an asshole. And they're like, Judas? And then Shep goes, he had a lot of betrayers, this Jesus guy. And then Molly's like, he was similar to Judas. And then Shep starts clapping his hands. And I think we should never betray each other. So he kind of found his way back to, but what a wacky toast. And I just think, how strong are they making the drinks over at Miss Patricia's? It's got to be a strong beverage, right? So anyways, they're all laughing. And Miss Patricia's like, thank you, Shep. That was very eloquent. And Ryan's like, the fact that you know Pontius Pilate is impressive, though. And he's like, it is a miracle. Yeah. So they're all eating, and Shep's talking to Molly about her weight, and she says, I've lost 15 pounds. I got another 20 to go. And Shep's like, no. She's like, yeah, I gained 45 pounds like a year and a half ago. And he's like, why? And she goes, I have hormone problems, so I fluctuate every couple years anyway. But then I'm also on a medicine that causes like binge eating. So I just kind of, and Shep's like, the opposite of Ozempic. And Molly's like, literally. And Craig's like laughing at this. So the plates are being cleared. And we're going to have dessert, which look like these like really kind of nice cupcakes. And they're getting served now. And Ryan, or who is it? Austin says, Patricia, have you ever seen the thing where you take the top off a cupcake and you make a sandwich? And Molly's like, wait. I was about to do that. I was going to be so cool. And Austin's like, you snooze, you lose. And so she's like, yeah, so you do this so you don't get icing all over your nose. And so she takes the part and she makes like this cupcake sandwich with the filling in the middle. And Whitney's watching her do this and she eats it and he goes, fuck that. And he's looking at her like he's kind of disgusted with her. And he goes, eat it like a cupcake sandwich. Molly's like, it is. And Whitney goes, hey, you know what, Molly? That's the last thing you need. Oh my God. And even Miss Patricia's like, Whitney, that's the last thing you need after she said about her weight gain and how sensitive she is. And Molly's like, he's calling me fat. He goes, I'm not calling you fat. And Madison's like, what the fuck? No, the fuck you did not. And Miss Patricia's like, shame on you, Whitney. And he's like, yeah, he said it's the last thing that I need. And Whitney's like, I've known this girl for 10 years. I can say these things. No, you can't. And Miss Patricia, the restraint she has, because I just imagine she was like, Whitney, upstairs. I'm going to take you over my knee. You are going to get a spanking, and I'm taking your electric guitar. You cannot play it for the next month. You are grounded, Whitney. Anyways, Molly and I talking to her goes, what the hell, Whitney? You know I don't have the best relationship with food, so like, don't be a dick. And then Whitney continues, he's like, you're eating it like a Big Mac. And Molly's like, Whitney, I will beat you up. And he's like, it was a joke. It was a joke. And Molly's like, is that okay, Patricia? Do you allow it? And Molly's like, see, Whitney, she's giving me the green light to beat you up. And then in a talking head, Miss Patricia's like, I've given up. As far as grandkids are concerned, I think I'm going to get a kitten. And then she does her laugh. She's got good comic timing. So everybody's kind of laughing. But my God, this Whitney sometimes. And then at the end, we have a title card that comes up that says, in loving memory, Michael Kelcourse, who was our favorite butler and confidant and friend to Miss Patricia, who passed away this year. I know a lot of you guys sent him cards. We loved seeing him on television, and he seemed like such a good, kind-hearted man and taught us how to make great martinis and drove Miss Patricia through McDonald's to have their little cheeseburger and went to Costco runs. And I was very sad to hear about his passing, and I'm glad he is memorialized in this episode. So we end it right there, except we have scenes from next week's Southern Charm. And we have JT talking to Madison, and Madison's like, JT, are you fucking blind? Have you seen my husband? Do you really think I would have an affair with you? And then a scene where they're having a Doggy Parton birthday bash. And we see Rodrigo talking with Taylor, Shep's ex. And then Molly is going to bring this girl, Sally, our other new cast member. And we see Sally show up. And we found out that Sally from Taylor hooked up with Shep in the past. And she also hooked up with Gaston, Taylor's current boyfriend. And then we see Shep's girlfriend, the beauty queen. She's there. And she's meeting Taylor for the first time. And they're like talking like, I hope you've heard good things about me. And Shep's girlfriend's like, mostly good. And kind of like sizing up Taylor. And that's next week's episode. Bappa do Bappa DTT. What a fun show to talk about. I hope you guys had fun on this recap. Join us Monday for a pop culture roundup. Join us on the Patreon. I'm about to do more of my Q&A episode. We've done 3 episodes over on Patreon this week, and we'll be doing a couple more. So come join us at patreon.com/SoBadIt'sGood. Have a happy Sunday, folks. Bye.